Part 125. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1241. Damn it, a dignified deputy mayor, was left speechless by Yu Liyong was a little embarrassed, looking at them and cursing. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan laughed. Zhang Chen said, Liyong, there is nothing to be afraid of. As long as you do something right, just do it boldly. The Pole and I promise not to hold you back. By the way, Liyong, what will you be responsible for when you come to Hangzhou? Lu Ligan asked. Culture and Education Guard, Liyong said. Lu Ligan breathed a sigh of relief and cursed, that has nothing to do with me. If you are in charge of urban construction, I will consider whether you will never get land in Hangzhou from now on. Cultural and Educational Health, I see doctors from Zhejiang No. 1 and Zhejiang University. You can't control it? I'm single and don't have any problems with my children going to school. Don't worry, if you want to be corrupt, you won't have a chance here. I don't have one here either. Zhang Xiangbei and his children are in primary school and junior high school. They don't need your help with schooling. I don't care about the uniform business of the school below you. If you ask me to do it, I will don't do it either. Zhang Chen said, and Lu Ligan laughed again. Li Yong scolded, you two, do you want to ridicule me like this? Am I, the deputy mayor, worthless in your eyes? No, Li Yong, Lu Ligan said, you take yourself too seriously, okay. You're going to have a break-up drink when you come here, as if you're going to be framed by us soon. We're asking you, let me tell you the truth, so you can do it with confidence. Yes, my brother-in-law has problems going to school, but he is taking the National American examination, and it is not under your control. I am looking for someone, not you, so don't worry, Zhang Chen said, looked at his watch, and asked, it's time for dinner, should we go out or eat here? Here, work dinner, I won't go out. I still have to compete with you. I'll drink until Lao Meng comes, Li Yong said. Zhang Chen picked up the phone, dialed the staff canteen, and told Lao Fu to help him cook some stir-fried dishes and bring them to his office. Putting down the phone, Zhang Chen asked Li Yong if he had brought any food stamps and money. Do you want to keep the meal money after eating? I'll ask the finance department to issue a receipt for you. Lu Ligan laughed, and Li Yong cursed, get out of here. The food came quickly, and the three of them moved to the small conference table to eat. Li Yong said to the two of them, to be honest, what you said earlier really touched me a little. I really might as well come and hum with you. It's so big every day. How enjoyable it is to drink wine from a bowl and eat large pieces of meat. In the institution, people looked at me and thought I was very impressive, young, and promising, but they didn't expect that it would be unpleasant to be a human being with my tail between my legs. Then come on, I asked you to come out and do it when you were the mayor of that shabby township, Lu Ligan said. Forget it, Li Yong said, I have been in the agency for 10 years, and I am almost out of touch with society. I still think about the previous things very deeply, but in the end I was completely refuted by you. I am ashamed. I will come out. What can I do? Become the vice president of your boss, or be the vice president of Zhang Chen. In the end, won't I have to look up to you all? There are two ways to go in the institution and in society. I don't understand this society anymore. I still do my own thing well, which is worthy of my ambition for so many years. Even if the ideal is shattered, it is still I have to cherish the fragments of my ideal. Li Yong's words were a bit lonely and tragic. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were touched when they listened to them. They thought of Mayor Li again and felt that if they kept writing the drama about him, it wouldn't be possible. No, if it will be a tragedy or a comedy. However, everyone has his own ambitions. Li Yong, the door here is always open to you. No matter what you do, you can do it with confidence and boldness. As long as you are not greedy, the worst you can do is offend others, and the worst you can lose is your official position. Don't be afraid, you have a way out. Zhang Chen and Li Yong said that Lu Ligan kept nodding beside him. Li Yong said, yes, I understand. I will tell you that I will work hard to be a good official. Even if I fail in the end, I will be able to explain myself and my conscience. I saw it in the workshop earlier. I am very ashamed of those fellow villagers. I, Li Yong, have no virtue or ability. I only did a little bit of what I should do, and I am still remembered by them. This is probably my motivation. Yes, this is the root of your Li Yong. Zhang Chen nodded and said. After eating, Li Yong, Zhang Chen, and Lu Ligan said, come on, accompany me to the development zone and higher education park. I haven't been to Xiaosha yet. By the way, the higher education park here is under my control. You too. Boy, don't be too arrogant. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan laughed. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan accompanied Li Yong. After visiting the development zone and higher education park, they drove to the Qiantang River and sat on the embankment to chat. Meng Ping called Zhang Chen. Tell him that he has arrived. The three people rushed back and arrived at the factory. They saw Meng Ping's car parked downstairs in the office. Meng Ping stood beside the car waiting for them. When they saw Li Yong, the two hugged excitedly for a while. Meng Ping opened the back of the car box, and said to Li Yong, come on, Mayor Li, let me give you a bribe first. This is the salty duck of Nanjing's Wangai Yuanlu. What's wrong with you, Lao Meng, for buying so much? Li Yong scolded. Meng Ping said with a smile, when I went there, they just came out in one pot, and I bought them all. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan saw more than 20 fat saltwater ducks in the trunk. They laughed. They were very familiar with Meng Ping's behavior. This was not the first time he had done such a thing. Lu Ligan said, it's okay, Li Yong. Meng Ping is probably a shareholder of Zhuangyuan Building. He is soliciting business for Zhuangyuan Building. You can give it away. Li Yong quickly waved his hand and said, no, I don't have anyone to send, so I'll just keep one and let's try it out tonight. This duck has already been blown away by Lao Meng, and now it's flying beyond the sky. I'm going to get it back. Zhang Chen thought about it. He called Zhao Zhigang down and told him to take all the ducks to the canteen and let Lao Fu and the others divide them up. At dinner, each Kazhu employee would have one. He told them that this was Mayor Li gave them extra meals. When Zhang Chen said this, both Li Yong and Lu Ligan thought it was very good. Li Yong and Meng Ping said, Lao Meng, you still bring too little. It would be great if you could give one share to all the workers. Meng Ping took out his wallet, stuffed it into Zhao Zhigang and said, Director Zhao, take your people and go to the street to buy roast duck. Put it with these salted ducks and let the workers choose. One for each worker. He said it was given by Mayor Li of Kazhu Province. Zhao Zhigang shouted, great. Taking Meng Ping's wallet, he asked someone to come over and move the ducks. He and Lao Fu were going to buy ducks on the street. The four of them went upstairs and sat down. Lu Ligan asked Meng Ping and Li Yong where to eat at night. When you get to Xiaosha, of course it's local food. It's not a good idea for Mayor Li to eat local food. I'm afraid Mayor Li will not have many such opportunities in the future, Meng Ping shouted. Zhang Chen also thinks that eating local food is good. They are all friends and don't care about the size of the hotel, but the taste of the food. If you go to Huihuan's place, you can enjoy it. Zhang Chen immediately called Huihuan and asked her to keep the box for him. After making the phone call, Zhang Chen and Meng Ping said, I'm afraid there will be more in the future. Every time Mayor Li comes to inspect the higher education park, the principal doesn't lead him to my Tuxianjiayuan hotel during dinner. If they don't go there, they will have nowhere to go in Xiaosha. Li Yong, I can give you a big discount then. Lu Ligan couldn't help laughing. Meng Ping was surprised and asked, Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, what do you mean? Zhang Chen told Meng Ping about the hotel he wanted to open, and Meng Ping shouted, "That's great. From now on, Xiaosha will be the place I must pass when I go to Hangzhou." They were in the office, chatting until 5 o'clock. Lu Ligan asked Zhang Chen to get the car keys. He said, "You can walk over later. I will go to the company and be back soon." "What?" Zhang Chen asked. "I'm going to bring my wife here to show my treasure to Li Yang," Meng Ping said. "Get out of here." At Li Yang's request, there will be no women tonight. It's purely a men's game, Lu Ligan said. "I'll go back and get something important." When it was almost 6 o'clock, Zhang Chen and the three of them were still chatting animatedly in the office. Lu Ligan called and asked them to hurry up, saying that he had already arrived at Huihuan local restaurant. The three of them hurried out without driving. Instead, he walked over. When I arrived at the box, I opened the door and saw Lu Lizan sitting there with 2 bottles of Li Xiangchang wine on the table in front of him. Zhang Chen and Meng Ping then realized that Lu Ligan had run back to the city to get this thing. They both laughed, knowing that Lu Ligan was going to do another prank, and they nodded knowingly. Li Yang saw Li Xiangchang wine and immediately became excited and shouted, "Gangzi, haven't you finished drinking this wine?" "No, my old man couldn't bear to drink it, so he kept it as a souvenir. Just wait for today. When Mayor Li comes, why don't you bring out this Li Xiangchang wine to give him a chance to catch the wind," Lu Ligan said, while he kept blinking at Zhang Chen and Meng Ping. Zhang Chen knew that Lu Ligan said that Lao Lu was reluctant to drink, but he was actually reluctant to throw it away. For him, as long as it was wine, it was a treasure, so how could he throw it away? Li Yang said happily, "Okay, let's drink this tonight." The 4 of them sat down. Zhang Chen called Huihuan over and told her that it would be better to give us hot red yeast wine. Huihuan agreed. Li Yang excitedly took a bottle of Li Xiangchang wine, opened it, and wanted to pour it for Zhang Chen and Meng Ping. The 3 of them declined. Meng Ping said, "We will drink it later. You come first, and we will drink it later. Drink another drink first to warm yourself up." Li Yang shook his head and cursed, "You bosses spend every day having fun and drinking, ruining your body. It's really not okay to have a drink and warm up your body first." Li Yang poured himself a glass of Li Xiangchang wine. The 3 people looked at him. Lu Ligan said, "Quick, try it, kiss or not, this is the wine from his hometown." Li Yang took a sip, frowned, turned his head, and spat the wine onto the ground with a pop. The other 3 people laughed. Li Yang picked up the Li Xiangchang wine, looked at it, and cursed. "Pole, what did you bring?" "Li Xiangchang wine," Lu Ligan said. "This is the Li Xiangchang wine we received." "No way." Li Yang looked at Meng Ping and Zhang Chen. They both nodded. Meng Ping said, "It's true. I received it, and I didn't even dare to throw it away. I was afraid that someone would pick it up and drink it, and something would happen. In the end, they found me. I hired someone to smash the bottles of wine." "How could this happen?" Li Yang looked at them and asked puzzledly. "This is also your route, Li Yang," Lu Ligan said. "To put it bluntly, sometimes I feel that those people can't even wear socks in winter, so they really can't blame others. If you really understand this, only then will you understand the complete China. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at one time and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1242. The 4 of them ate this meal for several hours, from dinner to midnight snack, and the box turned into a fairy cave filled with smoke. When a Chiao or Huihuan opened the door, there was smoke billowed out from inside. Huihuan turned on the ventilation fan in the box. After a while, one of them turned it off again, saying that it was too noisy and affected their conversation. At around 8 o'clock, They finished smoking, and Akiao helped them buy a pack of cigarettes. At around 11 o'clock in the evening, Huihuan helped them buy another pack, and the order filled several pages of the menu. Anyway, I will add another dish after a while. In fact, it was no longer ordering, but Huihuan and her father, looking at the shelves in the kitchen, thinking about what new dishes they could make, and sending them in when they were done. They felt that it was a bit unreasonable to send the duplicate dishes. Huihuan's father smiled and said, "Hey guys, these 4 people ate the dishes of 3 banquets." Huihuan looked at them and it was really fun. Sometimes when they went in, the 4 of them would be so impassioned that they would quarrel. Sometimes they would be alone, they were talking non-stop, others were listening, and they went in twice. The 4 men all had red eyes. Huihuan said that after eating this meal, they were more tired than a laborer working in the fields for a day, so how could they not eat much? The 4 of them, indeed, were like putting together a puzzle with words. Bit by bit, they spelled out their lives in the past few years, and also spelled out many past events. If a period of life experience, it was a picture that they didn't even know, and it was spelled out in several thick picture albums. Especially Li Yong, the other 3 people, they still have contact with each other, and they still know each other somewhat. Those who don't know each other have already fought together before, including Meng Ping's experience in prison, and Li Yong, in recent years, and they are completely separated. They don't know everything about him, and he is also very strange to them. These need to be spelled out. Especially when Meng Ping arrived, he had a deeper understanding of Li Yong's experience than Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen, 2 people who had never been in a serious unit. They had a lot of resonance, which made Li Yong the desire to talk. In the meantime, Li Yong also called his wife and asked her to talk to these 3 legendary brothers who had never met before. He also asked his son to, under the guidance of his wife, he called uncle and uncle. Zhang Chen also called Xiao Zhao and asked her to talk to Li Yong. They also called Chen Qiang and Sun Ho together. This night, the box cost everything, not only food, wine, cigarettes, but also the phone bill. After eating, Li Yong cursed, "Damn it, I originally wanted to drink the wine to break up the friendship, but after drinking this wine, it smelled like blood alliance." Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan laughed. Broken off wine, monk Meng Ping Zhang was confused and asked, "What's the severing wine?" Zhang Chen told Meng Ping about the reason for breaking up the friendship, and Meng Ping naturally scolded Li Yong and told him, "If you want to go crazy, just break it off and stay in the agency. You will be distorted in the first place. If you don't have a few close friends and you get into trouble from time to time, and you don't get driven crazy, Meng Ping, will give you the surname of Meng." "Go away, who wants to be named Meng?" Li Yong scolded, "It's a bad surname. Our surname is Meng, a sub-sage. We are here to Mencius. What does your surname Li have? What's so great about you, is Li Shiman that barbarian?" Meng Ping's eyes widened. Li Yong took out a puff of cigarette and said, "Li Dan, I will always be your father." Meng Ping was stunned, while Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan laughed. Meng Ping said, "Really, people nowadays are so complicated. Li Yong, do you dare to talk honestly to the people you know now?" As soon as I finished speaking, there might have been a sweep on the back, and it was full of holes. When you arrive in Hangzhou, you are lucky. Zhang Chen and Gang Zi are here. They can ensure that you don't go crazy and stop drinking. Stop what you said. Okay, gentleman, as long as you don't utter curse words, the words will come out. My brother is wrong. Come on, let me toast you." Li Yong picked up the wine glass. "Respect them, they will be your doctors from now on, and they are the ones who listen to your complaints." Meng Ping pointed at Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan and said. "Disrespectful," Li Yong said, "in your eyes, I am almost going crazy. Such a patient has the right to be rude to the doctor." Everyone laughed and raised their glasses together. They ate until more than 12 o'clock, then wandered around and walked to Zhang Chen's office. Even Zhang Chen's Audi, which Lu Lipol drove, was left here in the hotel. It was Xiao Sheng who came over to drive back to Zhang Chen's office. Went to the factory. When they arrived at the office, the four of them sat down and drank tea while continuing to chat. The sleepy person fell his head to the side and fell asleep on the sofa. At first, there were four people chatting, then it became three, then two, and finally Zhang Chen was left alone. He looked at the three people who were already asleep, muttered something, and he also tilted his head and fell asleep. In the first month of the year in the south of the Yangtze River, spring is already in full bloom. Willow buds are in bud and peach blossoms are blooming. The spring breeze in the sunshine is blowing on the face, which is intoxicating, but the cold night is still invading the bones. Fortunately, the air conditioner in Zhang Chen's office was turned on fully. Even if the four of them fell asleep on the sofa, they didn't feel cold. In addition, there was too much wine to drink and too much meat was retained in the stomach, which caused a loss of energy. He was quite tall, and his body was on fire from the inside out. Meng Ping got up in the middle and went to the bathroom. When he came back, he saw the couch where he and Li Yong were sitting. Li Yong had fallen down and occupied the entire sofa. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan, each occupied the two single sofas on the side, and their upper bodies fell on the armrests, sleeping soundly. Meng Ping looked around, walked over, and sat down on Zhang Chen's executive chair. He felt really uncomfortable, so he stood up again, took a few books from the bookcase, walked to the conference table, and put the books on the table was used as a pillow. People climbed up and lay down. It was actually more comfortable than curling up on the sofa. Meng Ping couldn't help but smile proudly. When the four of them woke up, it was already around 9 o'clock in the morning of the next day. Everyone's head was swollen, and they felt like there was a wooden fish on their necks. They looked at each other, not because they were tired of looking at each other, but because they felt, they are all far away and their faces are blurry. After drinking so much wine in one night and soaking in the smoky fairy cave for so long, if a person is still sober, it means he has seen a ghost. Zhang Chen picked up the phone on his desk, called the staff canteen, and told the old man to make us 4 bowls of noodles, very spicy, the kind that can relieve hangovers. After a while, 2 canteen helpers carried trays and brought them noodles. The noodles were not only filled with chili oil, but also green peppers and dried red peppers. At first glance, they were brought by Zhao Zhigang's family. Chop pepper. The old man probably put in everything in the canteen that can make it spicy. The 4 of them hurriedly sat down to eat, sweating on their backs and hair. Li Yong wiped the big beads of sweat from his face with a tissue and shouted, "It's so good, so good. I haven't eaten like this for a long time. Spicy food is our fate as Kizhu people." Zhang Chen asked Li Yong, "This chopped pepper is made by Zhang Shan at home. Do you want to take some bribes and put it in the office?" Li Yong nodded quickly, yes, of course, this chili is delicious even in instant noodles." Lu Ligan scolded, yesterday you looked like you would never get involved in corruption, so you started accepting bribes so soon." "What kind of bribes?" Li Yong said, "aren't you doctors?" "I have been judged as a patient by Lao Meng. This is the medicine prescribed by the doctor to the patient." Zhang Chen stood up with a smile, walked over and opened the door. Seeing that the door of Zhao Zhigang's office was open, Zhang Chen called out, "Zhao Zhigang." Zhao Zhigang ran out. "Is there any hot sauce in the office?" Zhang Chen asked. "No," Zhao Zhigang said. "Go find me a bottle, a whole bottle, and give it to a friend." After Zhang Chen finished speaking, he came back and continued eating noodles. After eating this bowl of noodles, everyone felt refreshed. They went to the bathroom to wash their faces, looked at themselves in the mirror, and felt that their human form was back. Someone knocked on the door. Zhang Chen walked over and opened the door. It was Zhao Zhigang, holding 2 vest bags in his hands. He walked in, put the bags on the coffee table, and said to Zhang Chen, "I gave them all to you, don't ask me for them again." Zhang Chen opened the bag and took a look. Inside were 4 large canned yellow peach glass bottles containing chopped chili peppers. Lu Ligan quickly grabbed one bottle and put it in his hand. Meng Ping also took a bottle. Lu Ligan looked at it. Seeing Meng Ping's face turned red from the heat, he cursed. "You're a spicy intern, why do you want it? Sober up, this thing is really good at sobering up," Meng Ping said. Zhang Chen gave the remaining 2 bottles to Li Yong and asked him to take them away. Lu Ligan looked at Li Yong and asked, "How is it? The severance of diplomatic relations was not successful last night. Do you want to do it again at noon?" Li Yong quickly said, No, I can't drink anymore. I'll go to the cafeteria to eat at noon. I have to read materials in the office in the afternoon. I just came here and I'm still blind." Zhang Chen stood up and said, "Okay, let's go into the city." Lu Ligan looked at Li Yong and asked, "The day after tomorrow is the Lantern Festival. During the Lantern Festival, Mayor Li is having fun with the people. Doesn't it violate discipline?" Li Yong hesitated, and Zhang Chen said, "Come on, just have a casual meal, we are all our own people." Lao Tan and the second-rate people will come, and Xiao Zhao will come back tomorrow. "Then I'll keep it for eating and drinking," Meng Ping said. Li Yong said yes. "I haven't seen that bastard for a long time. Is he still like that now?" Zhang Chen knew what Li Yong was talking about, and Zhang Chen laughed, "Haha, the second-rate guy is now different from what he used to be, and he can definitely be a May 4th youth, which is very good. By the way, the one who went to Guizhou with you last time, Xiao Wu, is the one who is particularly good at somersaults. Is he coming?" Li Yong asked. Zhang Chen was stunned, not knowing what to say. Lu Ligan quickly came to Zhang Chen's rescue. He said to Li Yong, "This issue is a bit inappropriate for children. I'll talk to you slowly in the future. Thank you for reading the book every day. I don't know if anyone asks me, and I am ranked 3rd from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you to book friends 20190521191028129129, Duo and Wind and Waves 26, Heart Flying, Yuju, Cup Guy API, Don't Take It Too Seriously, and PCM600812 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Sunday everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1243. Zhang Xiangbei finally learned how to vibrato. Xiaoshu came back from learning English from Lin Shuwen. Zhang Xiangbei took out the violin and made sure to perform it for him. Xiaoshu saw it and said it was good, as if he was crazy. Zhang Xiangbei snorted proudly towards Xiangnan, glared at him, and walked over. Zhang Xiangbei shouted, "Uncle, I want to go play with you." He followed Xiaoshu and went out. When he came back after a while, Xiangnan must have forgotten what happened in front of him and forgot to lift his ears. Zhang Xiangbei feels that this is the good thing about Xiangnan, a girl. No matter what happens, it is in the past. She will not keep it in her heart, let alone report it in front of adults. This is much better than the girls in their class. Moreover, since Xiangnan slapped curly hair in the table tennis activity room, Xiangnan has become a celebrity in the school. Few people dare to mess with her, and Zhang Xiangbei has also benefited from this. Everyone knows that if you bully Zhang Xiangbei, no matter how big you are, Feng Xiangnan will come after you endlessly. Even the senior boys find it quite difficult to be pestered by such a difficult girl. When Xiao Fang came back from school, Zhang Xiangbei took out the violin again and showed her the vibrato. Xiao Fang said, "Are you finally enlightened?" When Xiang Nan heard it from the side, he almost laughed. 2 months, he studied for 2 months, Xiang Nan said, and Xiao Fang, I learned it in 2 minutes while watching TV. This idiot, he studied for 2 months. Xiao Fang smiled and said, Nanan, don't be proud, Bai Bei, don't be discouraged, as long as you can learn it, don't care how long it takes you to learn, or how long you have learned to vibrato. In the end, it still depends on who can play the piano well. You want to compare, just compare to this, do you understand? Xiang Nan was unconvinced, but he still nodded, thinking, of course it's me, this idiot, what good can he do if I don't care about him? But Xiang Nan knew that it was really not good for him to be so proud, especially in front of Xiao Fang. In Xiang Nan's eyes, Xiao Fang was like a god, smart and beautiful, and seemed to know everything. A little attached, and Xiao Fang said so, Xiang Nan felt that it must make sense. By the time Xiao Zhao and Zhang Chen got home, it was already past 9 o'clock in the evening. Zhang Xiangbei had already fallen asleep. When he heard them coming in, he climbed out of bed and shouted, Mom, Mom, let me show you. What are you showing me? Xiao Zhao asked. Zhang Xiangbei didn't say anything, but ran back to his room, took out his violin, and played a piece of music for them. Xiao Zhao didn't notice anything, but Zhang Chen did, and he lay down next to Xiao Zhao's ear and told her, Can vibrato? Only then did Xiao Zhao wake up and shouted, Bai Bei, you already know how to vibrato? That's awesome. Come on, play it again to show your mother. Zhang Xiangbei stood there and pulled it again with dignity. Xiao Zhao nodded and said, Yes, it sounds much better than before, right, Dad? Zhang Chen quickly said, Yes, it's just different. The sound is much better than before. Zhang Xiangbei was satisfied and climbed back into bed to sleep. Zhang Xiangbei had no interest in the violin at all. He was forced to learn it by Xiang Nan. Zhang Chen went to Xinhua bookstore and bought a lot of DVDs of violin performances for them. Zhang Xiangbei was forced to watch in front of the TV by Xiang Nan. He was very interested when he saw Heifetz playing Paganini's 24 Caprices. What interested him was that the close-up shot showed Heifetz's left hand pressing the strings. Xiangbei pointed at the TV and laughed, and said to Xiang Nan, Look, 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 his fingers are like crazy. Xiang Nan stared at the TV and heard that the violin sounded different after vibrating, and she was very interested. At that time, the teacher had not taught them how to vibrato, but after watching it twice, Xiang Nan learned it by himself. This made Zhang Xiangbei envious. He also followed the same example, and when he moved his fingers, it was not a glide. Just press the string to death and make a harsh sound like sawing wood. Xiang Nan cursed, idiot. It's just like playing badminton, shaking your wrist instead of moving your fingers. Zhang Xiangbei tried several times, but it still didn't work. He said unconvinced to Xiangnan, Coach Lu, doesn't he want us to use our wrists? Indeed, when most people talk about smashing in badminton, they say that you need to use wrist strength, but Lu Jun told them that this is misleading. Using your wrist to smash will not only fail to exert force, but your wrist may be broken. Dropped. He asked them not to move their wrists when smashing, but to use the strength of their waist and increase the strength of their forearms to smash straight out. He told them that the ball's landing point does not depend on the change of the wrist. It depends on the point of impact. If you want to hit the ball close to the net, hit the point high instead of using your wrist. During training, when he saw someone trying to use his wrist to smash, he would come over and kick him. What about you seducing the opposite corner, idiot? Xiang Nan cursed. Zhang Xiangbei said oh and continued to practice, but he couldn't learn it. He told himself in his heart that he should use his wrist to vibrate the string, but his wrist seemed to be frozen. He barely moved it twice, and his ears were numb. Xiang Nan carried it and cursed. You are rubbing your wrist. You are nodding to say hello. Xiaoshu laughed and said, Zhang Xiangbei, I didn't expect it to be so difficult to be a lunatic, right? Zhang Xiangbei scratched the back of his head and almost cried. After studying for 2 days, he still didn't learn it. When the teacher finally came to his door, Zhang Xiangbei immediately asked the teacher to teach him how to vibrato. The teacher turned his face and scolded him, study honestly, you haven't learned how to vibrato yet. It's time when you arrive, the teacher will naturally teach you, which can enrich the tone when playing. You don't even know how to walk yet, but you want to fly. Zhang Xiangbei said oh and didn't dare to say anything. When the teacher taught them, he was always serious and serious. He was responsible for the parents' tuition fees. The teacher refused to teach, and she couldn't learn it herself. The more she couldn't learn it, the more she wanted to learn it. Xiangnan was very obedient to the teacher. The teacher said that they hadn't even learned to vibrato yet, so she just remembered it and started playing it herself. When playing the violin, he no longer vibratos, let alone teaches Zhang Xiangbei, which made Zhang Xiangbei distressed. Later, he felt that he played the violin just to be a lunatic. But as Uncle Xiaoshu said, why is it so difficult to be a psycho? There was no other way, so Zhang Xiangbei asked Xiaoshu for help. Xiaoshu stared at the TV for a while and said to Zhang Xiangbei, I can't play the violin, but if you are as crazy as this, I have a solution. Zhang Xiangbei quickly shouted, teach me quickly, uncle. Xiaoshu picked up the easel, clamped the lead drawing paper on the drawing board, gave Zhang Xiangbei a charcoal strip, and told him, take it. What? Zhang Xiangbei asked. Paint. Huh, Zhang Xiangbei's head grew bigger. This was another thing that annoyed him. Growing up, what he hated most was painting. Zhang Chen tried several times to get him to learn painting, but in the end, both of them gave up almost at the same time. Ah, what? Once you learn how to use charcoal strips, you will learn to be a lunatic, Xiaoshu said. Really? Zhang Xiangbei asked. Of course, Xiaoshu said. Zhang Xiangbei hesitated and took the charcoal strip. Xiaoshu asked, which hand do you use to vibrate the strings? Left hand. Then draw with your left hand. Xiaoshu said and started to demonstrate. He touched the lead drawing paper with his little finger, shook his wrist, and drew diagonal lines on the paper. Zhang Xiangbei looked at the movements of Xiaoshu's wrist. It was really, kind of like a crazy vibrato move. Xiaoshu said, just draw like this, control it carefully, don't break the charcoal strips, gently, heavily, lightly, heavily, see if you can, just like this, make it as thick as you want, as thin as you want, lines and lines in between, you can be as sparse as you want, as dense as you want, and when you can control it flexibly, you will definitely be able to vibrate the strings. Zhang Xiangbei was very excited. From then on, when Zhang Xiangbei came home from school every day and finished his homework, he took out his easel and kept drawing on the paper. When Xiangnan saw it, he asked, what are you doing? Zhang Xiangbei told her to paint. He didn't dare to tell Xiangnan that he was learning vibrato. The teacher said he was not allowed to learn. If Xiangnan knew that he was learning, he would pick his ears again. Also, Xiangnan always laughs at him for being stupid. When he says he wants to learn vibrato, Xiangnan will say, Zhang Xiangbei, are you planning to make me laugh my teeth out? Zhang Xiangbei decided that he would learn it secretly, and then show it to her to see if she dared to underestimate him. Xiangnan heard Zhang Xiangbei tell her that he was painting, but she said nothing. She looked at it and felt strange, and asked, Zhang Xiangbei, when did you become left-handed? Zhang Xiangbei said, when my right hand gets tired from doing homework, I use my left hand. Looking at it every day, Xiangnan asked, do you use your left hand every day? Then what can I do? I don't have homework every day. My right hand is tired every day. Then you draw these black lines every day. This is basic skills training, do you understand? Xiongnan didn't know how to draw, so she shut up. Zhang Xiangbei studied for more than a month and felt that he could control it freely. While Xiongnan went to buy soy sauce in a small shop outside, he quickly took out the violin and gave it a try. Haha, he is really a psychopath. Zhang Xiangbei was ecstatic. Zhang Xiangbei ran back and put the violin away. When Xiongnan came back from buying soy sauce, Zhang Xiangbei walked up to her and said to himself, "Oh, I didn't even practice the violin today. I have to practice the violin." Xiang Nan opened his eyes wide and shouted, "Zhang Xiangbei, the sun rises from the west today, and you actually take the initiative to practice violin." Zhang Xiangbei asked her deliberately, "What, can I not practice?" "Can't." As Xiongnan said that, she ran into the room and took out her and Zhang Xiangbei's pianos. When Zhang Xiangbei started playing, she heard that the sound was wrong. She turned around and found that Zhang Xiangbei was actually vibrating the strings. As expected, Xiongnan shocked. Zhang Xiangbei looked at her and laughed proudly. "Thank you Lao Chentang, it's past 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, and thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for your monthly votes for killing all the millions of Eastern Japanese soldiers and Feng Polang 26. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1244. Adults say that Xiang Nan is the nemesis of Xiang North. Zhang Chen's parents said that it is a medicine. When Zhang Xiangbei was alone, he was a very naughty little boy, but as long as Xiang Nan was around, he behaved. Even Zhang Xiangbei's class teacher knew that Zhang Xiangbei was really noisy in the class. When talking, the head teacher only needs to tell the class leader, "Go and call Xiongnan for me," or directly tell Zhang Xiangbei, "Go and call your sister." Zhang Xiangbei immediately became honest. Xiongnan only had one move to deal with Zhang Xiangbei, which was to lift his ears, and the preparatory movements before lifting his ears. I count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Zhang Xiangbei obeyed obediently. Sometimes, Xiao Zhao felt a little distressed when he saw Xiang Nan lifting Zhang Xiangbei's ears. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "It's okay. If you lift the ears, the most you can do is make the earlobes bigger." Liu Bei's ears hang down from his shoulders, which is a sign of good fortune. You are already an emperor. If Xiang Nan can make your son an emperor, you will be lucky as the queen mother. Xiao Zhao glared at him, and Zhang Chen said, "It's best to use the ears. If you think about it, hit him on the head. It's easy to hit someone stupid. Hit him on the body. It's easy to get internal injuries. Then, if you use the ears, you won't be able to find anything wrong with him." Xiao Zhao thinks about it, and it makes sense. Zhang Chen's mother, who is supposed to love Zhang Xiangbei the most, also said at this time that Bai Bei is just the sky that won't take control of him. Fortunately, Xiongnan is holding him down. Otherwise, both of our lives will be ruined. If he gets out of his way and becomes naughty, he can even be on the Xinwen network. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao laughed. Zhang Chen's mother was surprised. She told Xiao Zhao that Chen was naughty when he was a child, but not like Bai Bei. "I can't hear it at all, so I'll just keep to myself." Zhang Chen looked outside the door and told his mother that there is no way to pass the inheritance from generation to generation. "You didn't see his grandfather, he is still so naughty at such an old age. After the pond is built, I guess he will drill holes to extract oil." Zhang Chen's mother and Xiao Zhao laughed wildly. On the badminton court, Zhang Xiangbei was in the same situation. Lu Jun took them out to compete. Xiao Zhao asked him what results Bai Bei would probably get this time. Lu Jun looked at her and said with embarrassment that his results were the best. Difficult to estimate. Why? Zhang Chen asked. The quality of Zhang Xiangbei's score depends on Xiang Nan's score. If Xiang Nan's score is good, Zhang Xiangbei's score will not be very good. If Xiang Nan's score is in the first round, he will encounter a formidable opponent. If he is eliminated, Zhang Xiangbei's performance will be better, Lu Jun said. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, they are not playing mixed doubles. What does their performance have to do with each other? Lu Jun sighed and said, if Xiangnan's performance is good, when Xiangbei is competing, she is also competing and has no time to come over. Xiangbei's performance will be a mess. If Xiangnan stands on the side, Xiangbei will be like a replacement. As individuals, they will perform at a super level. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao understood and couldn't laugh or cry. Lu Jun couldn't laugh or cry either. He had nothing to do with Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei is the son of Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao. No matter what, Lu Jun can't scold him like he does to other team members, or simply go over and kick him. Therefore, Zhang Xiangbei, unlike other team members who are afraid of him, they are more relaxed in front of him. Even when it's time to play, it's the same. He lowers his head and you don't even know if he's listening to what Lu Jun says to him. Sometimes he performs better on the court. Lu Jun knows that he was listening just now. If it's still the same. Lu Jun understood that he was wasting his words in front of him. Zhang Xiangbei was not listening at all. If there is no competition for Xiang Nan, Lu Jun will take Xiang Nan with him. The two of them stand in front of Zhang Xiangbei. At this time, Zhang Xiangbei no longer dares to lower his head, but looks at them, although his eyes are wandering. Yes, at least he pretended to be listening attentively. Lu Jun said a few words, and Xiang Nanhui asked, do you understand what Coach Lu said? I'll count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Zhang Xiangbei nodded quickly and said, I understand, I understand. Repeat it again, Xiang Nan ordered. Zhang Xiangbei repeated it obediently, and he was indeed listening. Lu Jun watched from the side and couldn't help but want to laugh, but he knew that the effect was really different. When he encountered Zhang Xiangbei on the court, as if he was sleepwalking, Lu Jun would whisper to Xiang Nan, nod to Xiang Nan, and shout loudly, Zhang Xiangbei, pay attention to receiving the serve. Or shouted, Zhang Xiangbei, position 3. This was their code. Lu Jun divided the court into several small blocks, and each block was numbered. Position 3 was his own left back court, or the opponent's left back field. This was to remind Zhang Nan. Go north and pay attention to the defense of the third position, or attack the opponent's third position. Xiangnan's voice was so loud that the entire stadium heard it. Even the referee turned his head to look. Zhang Xiangbei suddenly felt like he was waking up from a dream. Their combination has been going on for a long time, and some opponents in Liancheng have also known about it. Some of them were drawn to compete with Zhang Xiangbei. The opponent's coach felt his scalp go crazy when he saw Lu Jun leading Xiangnan to the sidelines. Feeling numb, he came over to Lu Jun and said, half jokingly and half seriously, what, Lu Jun, you brought Zhang Xiangbei's wet nurse again? Xiang Nan glared at him. Time flies by quickly. In the blink of an eye, Xiang Nan is in 5th grade and Zhang Xiangbei is in 4th grade. For girls of this age, the circle begins to get smaller. There are always 3 or 4 people who play together every day. Classmate. Children don't have the concept of best friends yet, but psychologically, it's the same. They like to form small groups and start to consciously isolate themselves from other people. Xiang Nan also had such a small group. After having such a small group, Zhang Xiangbei still followed her like a tail every day, which began to make Xiang Nan feel a little annoying, but Zhang Xiangbei didn't notice it. No matter Xiang Nan whether she was avoiding him or hiding from him, he always found a way to find her, and then stubbornly insisted on following her, which made Xiang Nan lose his temper. Fortunately, when Zhang Xiangbei is with girls, he is far less naughty and annoying than when he is with boys, especially with Xiangnan. He is still relatively well behaved, and he is not too talkative. Several girls, while they were chattering, Zhang Xiangbei sat aside, playing his game console and not participating in their conversation. He had no interest in what they were talking about. He seemed to just want to know that he and Xiangnan were together, and everything else didn't matter. After doing this several times, Xiangnan and the girls felt that it didn't matter whether Zhang Xiangbei was there or not. Anyway, they said and did whatever they said, just treat him as heir, and Zhang Xiangbei did act like heir. And this heir can be put to use immediately when it comes time to use it. When they want to dance with rubber bands, Zhang Xiangbei can stand there, serving as a permanent pillar for them while playing his own game. On the machine, the girls dance steamingly in front of him. Little ball, kick it with your feet, Melon Blossoms 21, 256, 257, 282931, 356, 357, 383941, 456, 457, 484951, 556, 557, 585961, 656, 657, 686971. Or, Malanhua, Malanhua, don't be afraid of wind or rain. Hard-working people come to speak, please bloom immediately. On the pillar opposite, people kept changing. On Zhang Xiangbei's side, it was always him, standing there, concentrating on playing his own game, with the rubber bands rising from his ankles to his calves, knees, thighs, hips, and waist. Every time it went up, either Xiangnan or other people would come over and move the rubber band up on Zhang Xiangbei's body. Zhang Xiangbei let them do what they did, as if it had nothing to do with him and he just provided them with a standing human form. When they were about to play hopscotch, Zhang Xiangbei took the chalk and immediately drew grids on the cement floor. The grids he drew were square and clear, and he could draw them very quickly. They were very popular with the girls. After that, he walked aside and found a place to sit down. He still played his game console and never participated in their games. The girls got excited about dancing and took off their cotton-padded clothes and sweaters one by one. They came over and called out Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei took it without raising his head and placed it on his knees. Put your hands on your clothes and continue playing the game console. There were more and more clothes, and Zhang Xiangbei couldn't fit them on his knees. At this time, the girls came over, and even Zhang Xiangbei stopped shouting and put the clothes on him directly. Zhang Xiangbei felt that he was getting more and more as it got hotter, the weight seemed to increase, but he didn't care and continued to play the game. Wait until Xiangnan or another girl shouts, Zhang Xiangbei, I'm thirsty. At this time, Zhang Xiangbei would look around, find a clean place, put the clothes on his body and knees, put the game console on top of the clothes, stand up, brush the floor and run away. He ran back after a while, holding several rows of Wahaha calcium milk or Wangzhe milk, as well as chocolates. The girls gathered around him, drank the milk, ate the chocolates, and returned the empty bottles and boxes. Give it to him and go ahead and dance their house. Zhang Xiangbei found a trash can and threw all these things into the trash can. He walked back, put the clothes on his body one by one, sat down, and then put the clothes on his knees back. On his knees, he picked up his game console and continued playing, as if he had rewinded the tape and never stood up. If there is a small group of other girls nearby and they are playing hopscotch, Xiangnan and her friends will especially like to shout loudly, Zhang Xiangbei, I'm thirsty. Then they watched him run away and come back again. They were drinking drinks around him, and out of the corner of their eyes, they saw envious glances coming from the side. At this time, they couldn't help but feel proud. Thank you for your monthly passes from Fatty, Guoliken, I am a potential stock, seeing the original intention without seeing the future, and Polar Bear 2018. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1245. After the Spring Festival, Zhang Chen and his Banmuishan Resort Hotel, like all hotels in Sanya, had very few guests staying in the hotel every day. There were as many as 20 rooms a day, and as few as only a dozen rooms, including 5 or 6. The room was arranged by the base for those who came from the mainland to recuperate. Half of the employees in the housekeeping and housekeeping departments were transferred by CAO Minfang to help in the nursery. After going to work, environmental improvement in Sanya continued. The nursery business was very busy and there were not enough manpower. Another thing that CAO Minfang didn't expect was that the business of their catering department was unexpectedly good, and it was full almost every day. There are many Hunanessa in Hainan, and they know that there are authentic Hunan dishes here, which are from Haikan and other places. People from Hunan who come to Sanya also come here to eat. In addition, Lao Xie knew a lot of fellow Hunan people. He helped to promote Fatty Fu. Fatty Fu was already very famous in Changsha. Some people knew that Fatty Fu from Rongyuan Hotel was now at Banmu Tian Resort Hotel in Sanya. And here he comes. Customers who have been here have tasted his Ziyuan Hunan cuisine and Hunan style seafood, and they think it is good. It is very unique in Sanya. They brought their friends here for the second time. Just relying on word of mouth, their business has grown. It's getting better and better, to the point where you won't get a seat if you don't make a reservation. This made CAO Minfang relieved. Although Zhang Chen had made peace with her and knew that running a hotel in Sanya would not make any money, it was normal to lose a little every month, so he asked her not to feel pressured, but CAO Minfang was not convinced. At Lao Xie's place in Haikan, I just hang around every day. When I get to Sanya, of course I want to do something big. Where can I hang around again? Now, relying on the business of the nursery and catering department, the economic benefits of the entire hotel should be better than other hotels in Sanya. Not only will there be no loss every month, but there will also be a slight surplus. Xiao Zhao can also see it from the report, told Zhang Chen. This made Zhang Chen feel a little surprised, but at the same time, of course he was very happy. CAO Minfang knew very well that days like this would not last long. Sanya's environmental improvement would eventually come to an end, and the nursery business would not always be so good. Moreover, seeing how profitable selling flowers and trees is, many people will follow suit, and the market will definitely be divided. CAO Minfang feels that the catering department is almost saturated at present, and there are not many ways to think of it. She still has to think about how to increase the occupancy rate. This is their profit growth point. Another one is how to turn the nursery business from now. It's a bit of a surprise, and it's a long-term daily business. At this time, Hui Huan arrived, and Zhang Chen sent her to the Banmuishan Resort Hotel in Sanya to study for a month. Hui Huan's arrival made CAO Minfang very happy. She felt that she finally had someone with whom she could discuss matters. CAO Minfang could not discuss matters related to the hotel's strategy with the supervisors below. Of course, she had her Xiaojiju in her heart. I know that the reason why I can serve as the general manager is not because I am familiar with Zhang Chen. The most important thing is Lao Xie's recommendation. Lao Xie's recommendation is equivalent to a guarantee of her character. The main reason why Zhang Chen chose her is because of peace of mind, not because of her management experience or business ability. Zhang Chen is already prepared to suffer losses anyway. After all, CAO Minfang was a monk halfway through, and was actually an outsider in hotel management. For daily work, in addition to studying hard by herself, she still had to rely on the newly recruited supervisors. CAO Minfang is not an idiot. She knows very well that the supervisors think she is an amateur. In fact, they look down on her a little. When she talks about things, she always has a sense of knowing what she says. Therefore, CAO Minfang could not talk to them about these things, which would only increase their arrogance. Cao Minfang had no way to discuss these matters with Fatty Fu. It wasn't that she couldn't, but that Fatty Fu didn't care about things other than the kitchen. Talking to him would be in vain. Cao Minfang was troubled by this. Fortunately, Hui Huan is here. Cao Minfang knew that Hui Huan was the general manager of a hotel under their company and would be in Hangzhou in the future. In terms of level, she and Cao Minfang were the same. When Cao Minfang told her these things, there was a feeling of equal communication. In particular, Hui Huan is only here to study for a short period of time. After finishing her studies, she will return to Hangzhou. There is no conflict of interest between the two of them. They can discuss everything with confidence and boldness. Moreover, Cao Minfang can see it. He has no experience in hotel management, and Hui Huan has none. Otherwise, Zhang Chen would not have sent her to Sanya to study. If this is the case, then we can learn together and make progress together. Cao Minfang added a table to her office to serve as a desk for Hui Huan. Hui Huan said, "Mr. Cao, I am not here to sit in an office. I want to go to the kitchen to study every day." Cao Minfang smiled and said, "Mr. Su, you can go to the catering department every day, but there is no need to stay there all the time. The environment there is too noisy and not suitable for studying. You must write down what you learn every day and keep a diary. Just write it here. Also, I haven't been the general manager of the hotel for a long time. Mr. Su, you are here. Let's learn and grow together, okay? I need your help too." Cao Minfang spoke sincerely, and Hui Huan settled in her office. When Hui Huan arrived, Cao Minfang's first thing was, of course, to take her to visit various places in the hotel. Hui Huan immediately discovered that the hotel and restaurant were doing very well, and she really came to the right place. In addition, the restaurant here was very high-end. Hui Huan felt that it was an eye-opener and kept praising her. Cao Minfang told her that all the decorations here were designed by Mr. Zhang himself. "Don't worry, your hotel in Hangzhou, Zhang, it will definitely be designed to be more advanced than here." Seeing that Hui Huan didn't understand, she smiled and said, "Think about it, if Mr. Zhang has any important matters in the future and needs to treat guests, he will definitely put them in his own hotel. Why doesn't he design the hotel to be very high-end, otherwise, he himself would lose face?" When Hui Huan heard this, she thought, yes, that was true. Brother Zhang often came to her place to treat guests. However, Hui Huan knew that the people she invited to her place were all friends and business customers. "He would not when I invite her. I usually go to the big hotels in the city, but my new hotel has opened. Mr. Cao is right, he will definitely put it in his hotel, and only fools will go outside." Thinking about it this way, Hui Huan was full of expectations for her future hotel. Hui Huan also discovered that the restaurant business in the hotel here was very good, but there were almost no people staying in the guest rooms. It was deserted. Cao Minfang sighed and said, "Yes, this is a common problem in Sanya hotels. When there is water logging, there will be water logging. Die of drought during the drought. There was no room during the spring festival days, and now there are no guests." Hui Huan said that she could imagine that on my plane from Hangzhou to Sanya this time, there were only 11 guests in total, 6 of them came for a meeting, and only 5 of them actually came to Sanya on their own. Cao Minfang's eyes lit up. "A meeting, yes, to do conference affairs. If we can attract more conferences, there will be dozens or hundreds of people at least one conference, and they will stay for 4 or 5 days. If there are more conferences every month, the occupancy rate will not be guaranteed. Already, this is a resort hotel, which is perfect for meetings. But, where can I find so many meetings?" Cao Minfang immediately picked up the phone and called Xiao Ding. Xiao Ding often came to their hotel. Cao Minfang was already very familiar with him. Many businesses, whether it was hotels or nurseries, were introduced by Xiao Ding. Xiao Ding and Cao Minfang said, "If I don't help more, Brother Tan will kick me to death next time he comes." Cao Minfang smiled and said, "You and Xiao Zheng seem to be afraid of Brother Tan?" "It's not fear, it's respect," Xiao Ding said, "Big Brother saved us." "Oh, is this happening?" Cao Minfang asked, "How to save me?" Xiao Ding thought for a moment and said to Cao Minfang, "It doesn't matter. It has been so many years since it happened." Later, it also caused a sensation across the country. Both CCTV and People's Daily reported that Hainan dealt with a large number of people from the local area to the army. I tell you now, it doesn't matter much anymore. You must have heard about the car smuggling incident in Hainan from 1984 to early 1985, right? Cao Minfang nodded and said, "When we first arrived on the island, we heard someone say that several of our fellow villagers were also dealt with." "Yes, the highest level. Starting from Lei Yu, the director of the Hainan Administrative Office, we have dealt with a large number of people. Our base has also dealt with many people. Brother Tan is one of them." "Ah," Cao Minfang was surprised. Xiao Ding said, "Hainan was still a region of Guangdong at that time. It was very poor, and its finances depended on state subsidies. The country was also poor at that time and could not afford to support it, so it provided policies to make Hainan rich quickly and agreed that Hainan could import foreign goods for its own use. These imported foreign goods come in without any tariffs. But as these things were being used, or before they had time to be used, foreign cars ran out of the island. From January 1984 to March 1985, Hainan approved the import of more than 89,000 cars, and more than 79,000 have arrived. More than 10,000 of them were resold outside the island, and one car could earn tens of thousands. It was so easy to make money that everyone came to resell cars. How crazy was it at that time? 88 of the 94 units directly under the Hainan Administrative Office participated in reselling cars, and even government kindergartens took the lead. In addition, Hainan also imported a large number of televisions, video recorders, motorcycles, etc., and they were all resold to the mainland. The central government noticed this problem and immediately dispatched an investigation team. While investigating, it also closed the island. At all ports in Hainan, checkpoints directly under the responsibility of the central investigation team were set up. Cars and these items without tariffs were not allowed. After leaving the island, if there are people in the area, we will contact our base. If the goods cannot go out of the local port, we will use the port and landing craft of our base. At that time, many people in the base were involved in this matter, and Xiao Zheng and I were among them. Someone reported this matter to the central investigation team. The central leadership was furious and demanded that it be dealt with seriously. The craziest part is at that time, Brother Tan actually went back to the mainland to visit relatives and was not at the base. He didn't know about it at all. Brother Tan received a call from the base and rushed back. After understanding what happened, he knew the seriousness of the matter. If we were all sent back to the place, it would mean that there would be nothing. He took the initiative to take responsibility regarding leadership responsibilities and requesting punishment. He said that we had asked him for instructions before doing these things, and he knew. The result is that we were all punished with a major demerit. This is already the lightest punishment. The eldest brother was beaten to the end and kicked out of the base. He got nothing. Otherwise, the eldest brother would not have started a decoration company. Press his level is more than enough to serve as county magistrate or mayor at the local level. Cao Minfang nodded and understood. She said, "It means that Brother Tan sacrificed himself to save the future of all of you." "Yes, that's it." So the day brother left the base, the few of us decided that no matter what happened to brother in the future or whatever he told us, we must do it without any hesitation. Cao Minfang called Xiao Ding and said to him, "Brother Ding, do you have time tonight? I'll treat you to dinner and discuss anything with you. By the way, Mr. Zhang sent a beautiful woman from Hangzhou to study together." "Eat." "Okay," Xiao Ding laughed, "two beauties and fine wine, I will definitely come." Cao Minfang said angrily, "She is, but I am not." "What kind of beauty am I? I am an old woman." "Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes from Love Purple, Pai Wu Sun, and Xiao Bian Zibo. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1246. There were no seats in the restaurant. Cao Minfang and the three of them ate in Fatty Fu's office, while Fatty Fu was busy in the kitchen. Xiao Ding seemed to be accustomed to this, and he didn't need to order anything. Fatty Fu knew what dishes to serve when he saw Xiao Ding coming, and he didn't need to order anything. Cao Minfang introduced Hui Huan to Xiao Ding. Xiao Ding said, "She is indeed a beauty. All of Mr. Zhang's men are beauties. Look at the last time the hotel opened, there were so many beauties." Cao Minfang smiled and said, "You can't pull it out when you see it in your eyes, right?" Don't dare have any wrong thoughts," Xiao Ding said. "Are you afraid that Brother Tan will kick you?" Cao Minfang asked. "Big Brother doesn't care about the love between a man and a woman. It's because I know myself. No beautiful woman would like me, a black coal that can't be found in the coal," Xiao Ding said. "Cao Minfang and Hui Huan are older." Laugh. Cao Minfang looked at him and said, "Actually, among Hainan Essa, you are already considered white. Those who have been working in offices for the past few years have been bleached." Xiao Ding said, "Tell me, beauty, what are your orders?" Cao Minfang told Xiao Ding that she wanted to attend more meetings to increase the room occupancy rate. Xiao Ding thought for a while and said, "This is a very good idea. Tourists in Sanya are very seasonal. On days like this, not many travel agencies will come to Sanya. The hotel cannot just pick up tourists. It really needs other sources of customers. What's the use of having a good idea? Where can I find so many meetings?" Cao Minfang sighed and said. "In this way, starting from tomorrow, I will take you to the city government and run to each department one by one," Xiao Ding said. "They have a meeting?" Cao Minfang asked. Xiao Ding shook his head and said no, they had stupid meetings, and now all the money has been spent on environmental improvement. Every unit is just like our town, so poor that they can't afford to hold meetings, they just have to open it in your own shabby conference room. "Then what are we going to do?" Cao Minfang asked. "Although the unit is poor, it represents a system. From this line, you can go to the province, to Beijing, and every year there are always some national conferences and trainings for the entire system to be held. Let them help connect and pull this over." Cao Minfang understood and asked, "Will they be willing to help?" "Of course I will." Xiao Ding said, "They don't have to pay for this kind of meeting and training. The higher UPS will pay for it. They just send a few people to help with the meeting. And the biggest advantage of this kind of meeting is that the system has a nationwide. The biggest ones usually fly over during the opening. For these unscrupulous directors here in Sanya, they don't have to pay for it themselves, and they can still meet the leaders and take the opportunity to flatter them. Why not?" Cao Minfang laughed and said, "This is true. Bring the information about your hotel and come with me. For this kind of thing, you can usually ask their office director. He will be in contact with the general office of the 7 and 8 departments in Beijing. This kind of thing is usually handled by their office. The office is in charge. CAO Minfang said quickly, okay, okay. Don't tell me, our Sanya is so good. It's really the best for meetings and studies. Even the Asia Forum is held in our Hainan. Are you right? Our Sanya is even better. You can avoid the cold in the winter and the heat in the summer. As Xiao Ding spoke, Hui Huan almost laughed. She said, Sanya is so hot, how can we escape the heat? Of course it can. No matter how hot it is in Sanya, it will reach 30 degrees in June. If you are not under the sun, it will be cold when the wind blows. My comrades who have transferred to other jobs, those in Zhejiang and Jiangsu, it's scary to say that in summer the temperature will reach 38 or 9 degrees, or even 40 degrees, dear, isn't that a high fever? Xiao Ding said, Hui Huan thinks about it, this is really the case. In the summer in Hangzhou, it is so hot that people have nowhere to hide. Even if they are in the shade and do nothing, the sweat will continue to leak out. When the food arrived, Cao Minfang drank deer turtle wine with Xiao Ding. Xiao Ding wanted to pour it for Hui Huan and told her that this was a good thing, nourishing yin and strengthening yang. Hui Huan quickly waved her hand and said, I'm going to the kitchen, brother Ding. You drink slowly. Cao Minfang said, I'm here to study, and I want to drink with you, this is the time when there is the most to learn. She turned to Hui Huan and said, you should have some food first before going. Once you enter the kitchen, you don't know when you can stop. Hui Huan said yes, hurriedly ate a bowl of rice and went to the kitchen. Xiao Ding said regretfully, oh, a beautiful woman left, and the taste of this dish was suddenly reduced by half. Hui Huan smiled at him and walked out. Cao Minfang cursed, I'm going to die, if Fatty Fu hears this, he will chop you up. Xiao Ding laughed. Starting from the next day, Xiao Ding took Cao Minfang to visit departments one by one. Cao Minfang invited the office directors to visit the hotel one by one and invited them to dinner. They also gave them face. When talking about this hotel, everyone knew it and said it was the hotel where so-and-so came to cut the ribbon, and it really helped Cao Minfang contact the counterpart unit in Beijing. When I was on the phone, I also emphasized to the other party that this hotel was good and newly opened. When it opened, so-and-so came to cut the ribbon. Just after the new year, when various departments were arranging their work for this year, there were invitations from subordinate departments and hotels in Sanya. These departments were really interested. Immediately, several departments said that they would definitely consider it. Among them, the State Administration of Taxation immediately decided to give them the rotational training of county-level tax chiefs from April to May. There are more than 2,000 counties in the country plus county-level municipal districts. This makes Cao Minfang very happy. There is also the State Oceanic Administration, which has decided to hold next month's national meeting of directors in Sanya. Although the number of people is not large, it is a beginning. Cao Minfang feels that she is on the right track by focusing her hotel work on conferences and training receptions. Cao Minfang took Hui Huan to see the nursery and told her her concerns. She said that our nursery is now the largest in Sanya and the business is not bad, but it is difficult to say whether we can maintain this business in the future. No matter whether it is the municipal government or relevant units, when buying flowers and trees, they only buy them once or twice a year or even every few years. How can they buy them every day or every month? Hui Huan nodded. The two people walked around the nursery, and when they came out, Hui Huan said, Sister Cao, I have an idea for your reference. You say. Do you know where the tableware, bowls, chopsticks, and cups come from in a small restaurant like ours? Hui Huan asked. Why did you come here? Didn't you buy it? No, they are rented. There is a company that rents them out. They package them in sets and rent them to us. We decide how many sets we need every day. After using them, we don't need to clean them. We just put them in the basket. When they bring packed tableware every day, they take away the dirty ones. Each restaurant pays them monthly rent based on the quantity used. Of course, if it breaks, we need to compensate according to the price. This is very cost-effective for us. We almost spent half a month's salary of a waiter to pay the rent, but I saved some money. You don't have to spend money to buy tableware, they rely on this to collect rent every month, and there will be no shortage of tableware anyway. Hui Huan said, looking at Cao Minfang. Cao Minfang seemed to understand a little. She asked, "You mean?" Hui Huan nodded, pointed to the nursery behind her, and said to Cao Minfang, "Yes, that's my idea. Can the flowers and trees here be rented out? Look, there must be thousands of pots of flowers and trees here. It would be a pity to leave them here. If you can rent them out, the money will be less, but if you rent a lot of units, the total amount will be quite large. Besides, if you rent them out, there will be no loss for you. The flowers and trees are still there, but they are not placed here, but somewhere else. If someone really wants to buy them, you can take them back. Just change a batch and it will be fine, and it won't affect your sales." Cao Minfang became excited when she was told that she was right. Moreover, if this is the case, does it mean that the entire Sanya is our nursery, and my scale has suddenly expanded a lot? Yes, you can send people to each tenant regularly to maintain it so that it doesn't die. It's also very cost-effective for the tenant. After a while, you can replace it with a new batch. He will continue to see new batches. You don't have to take care of the flowers and trees yourself, Hui Huan said. Cao Minfang also thought of a problem. If this is the case, it will be a long-term flow. For companies engaged in this business, the threshold will be raised. You must have a certain level of strength and have enough flowers and trees from the beginning. Otherwise, it cannot meet the needs of tenants. In this way, those small companies will feel that the investment is too much and will not dare to come in. But as Hui Huan said, she already has such strength. Great, Cao Minfang patted Hui Huan and shouted. "Do you want to call and ask Brother Ding?" Hui Huan joked that after meeting her once, she was sensitively aware that the relationship between Xiao Ding and Cao Minfang was actually unusual. Cao Minfang seemed to be accustomed to listening to Xiao Ding's opinion whenever something happened. Cao Minfang blushed slightly and looked at Hui Huan. Hui Huan shook her head and smiled maliciously. Cao Minfang couldn't help but punch her, and both of them laughed. Cao Minfang said, "No matter what, this matter is too big, I really have to call and ask." Cao Minfang called Xiao Ding and told him Hui Huan's idea. Xiao Ding said, "This is a good idea. Cao Minfang, please start it right away. The demand will be great." "Really?" Cao Minfang asked. "Of course, in this case, our town will all be your customers," Xiao Ding said. "Think about it, if we want to buy a batch of flowers and trees, we need to make a special report and apply for a special fund from the finance. If it is the rent costs a few $100 a month. The leader of any unit only needs to sign and spend it from office expenses. Governments, enterprises, institutions, hospitals, schools, airports, stations, military units, shopping malls, including hotels, are all your potential customers. There are rentals, but everyone is too lazy to grow them themselves and buy them. Do you think this business is big? Big. Big." On the other end of the phone, Cao Minfang nodded excitedly. As soon as he said it, Cao Minfang mobilized all the people in the hotel's public relations department and divided the whole of Sanya into several slices, letting everyone talk about it one by one. This business was indeed very popular. By the time Hui Huan finished her studies in Sanya and was about to return to Hangzhou, Cao Minfang and the others were already doing a prosperous business in renting out flowers and trees. Thank you for the reward for being third from top to bottom, and having two fishes one above the other at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Guo Lycan for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1247. When Huihuan first arrived in the kitchen, Fatty Fu looked down on her a little. He thought it was nonsense for a girl who looked weak to learn some red crimes. But according to Cao Minfang, this was sent by Zhang Chen and designated to learn from him. Fatty Fu had no choice even if he didn't want to do it. Cao Minfang had dealt with Huihuan and knew that this girl was very powerful. She told Fatty Fu that maybe this little girl would be your most proud disciple. Don't poke me, Fatty Fu said. Cao Minfang brought Huihuan to Fatty Fu's office, introduced the two of them, and she left. Huihuan stood there, and Fatty Fu looked at her. He couldn't tell what was it about this Maituo that would make her his most proud disciple. Fatty Fu didn't ask her to sit down, and just let her stand. Fatty Fu asked, Maituo, which big hotel were you in Hangzhou? Luwelu or Tianxianglu? Or Dongpo restaurant? How many years have you been studying to be a chef? Huihuan was a little embarrassed. She said, I have never worked in any hotel. I just opened a small restaurant by myself. This is my first time in such a big hotel. It was Mr. Zhang who asked me to come and learn from Master Fu. Fatty Fu quickly waved his hand, meaning, don't move Mr. Zhang out. He looked at Huihuan, waiting for her to continue answering the question. Huihuan was stunned for a moment before she remembered that she still had not answered the question of how many years she had been learning to be a chef. She quickly said, I don't know how many years it has been since I learned to be a chef. Anyway, I have been working with my father since I was a child. Oh, it's still a family tradition. Is your father in charge of Huaiyang cuisine or Hangzhou cuisine? Fatty Fu asked. What? What kind of dish? Huihuan didn't understand and asked quickly. Fatty Fu looked at her confused look and shook his head, I mean, which big hotel is your father the chef? No, my dad is in the countryside, and he invites people to cook for weddings and weddings. Huihuan said, I came to Sanya, and he is now in my small restaurant, which is the Huihuan local cuisine restaurant help. Fatty Fu was holding a purple clay pot and was sucking a sip of strong tea into his mouth from the spout. When he heard Huihuan's words, he almost spit out the sip of tea. After finally swallowing the tea, an unknown anger came up. He felt that he was being played by Zhang Chen. Fatty Fu put the purple clay pot on the table and asked, then why are you here if you don't stay at your local restaurant? Zhang, oh, come and learn from Master Fu. Huihuan blushed. Of course she could see the other party's hostility. I have nothing to teach you. Fatty Fu waved his hand and said to Huihuan, buy a plane ticket and go back. Huihuan said oh, and her face turned red. Standing there, she felt like she was standing in the office of the director of Sanbeo village that time. She didn't know what to do. She knew that this damn fat man was chasing her. But she couldn't really buy a plane ticket and go back as he said. Huihuan bit her lip tightly to prevent herself from crying. She stood there stubbornly. Fatty Fu saw that she had no intention of leaving, so he stood up and walked out by himself. After get off work, he walked to the kitchen and said to the handyman who was cleaning, wait a minute in my office. That girl is gone. Please help me close the door. Huihuan stood there, thinking that Fatty Fu had gone out to use the bathroom and would be back soon. She did not dare to sit down. She stood there for more than 20 minutes and did not see Fatty Fu's shadow. The sanitation handyman, holding a plastic water pipe, washed the kitchen floor clean. He came over and saw Huihuan still standing here. He walked in and asked, what are you still doing here? I'll wait for Master Fu, Huihuan said. I've already left and got off work. I won't come to work until 4 o'clock. You can leave too, or you can come back after 4 o'clock because I'm going to close the door. The handyman rushed Hui Huan outside. Cao Minfang was sitting in the office. When she saw Hui Huan walking in with a livid face, Cao Minfang was startled. Just as she was about to ask, Hui Huan walked to her desk, sat down, put her head down, and buried it in her head. In the arms. Cao Minfang was confused, so she walked over and asked, Hui Huan, what's wrong with you? Hui Huan raised her head, and Cao Minfang was shocked. She saw Hui Huan's face was covered with tears. Cao Minfang quickly asked, Hui Huan, who bullied you? Hui Huan cried wow, hugged Cao Minfang, and shouted, well, that fat guy is bullying others. This is Hui Huan's first day in Sanya, and it is also the first time she and Fatty Fu have met face to face. Hui Huan was talking soothingly, and Cao Minfang finally understood. She quickly comforted Hui Huan and said, it's okay, Hui Huan, that damn fat guy is like this. He relies on being a top-level chef and has a bit of a bad temper. He's very pushy. Don't talk about you. Usually when I talk to him, he doesn't buy it. You don't worry, Hui Huan, I'll talk to him later. Hui Huan sobbed, Sister Cao, didn't you say that even if you talk to him, he won't accept it, so what's the use of talking to him? Cao Minfang burst out laughing and said, that's right. Although your heart is full of sadness, your mind is still very clear, and you can immediately tell that something is wrong. Hui Huan also burst into tears and smiled. She said, but, what should I do? Mr. Zhang asked me to study, and this fat man refuses to teach. I can't. I haven't learned anything. Just go back to Hangzhou, Sister Cao, or you can teach me. Cao Minfang quickly said, I'm not good at it. I don't know anything about the kitchen. You have opened a small restaurant. I haven't even opened a small restaurant. Cao Minfang thought for a moment and said, wait a minute, I'll make a call. Cao Minfang immediately called Lao Xie and told him the matter. When Lao Xie heard this, he became angry and asked, where is Fatty Fu? Please call him over. Already gone back. What's the phone number of your dormitory? Lao Xie asked. Cao Minfang told him. Lao Xie immediately called their hotel dormitory. The phone was in the reception room. When the people in the reception room heard that they were looking for Fatty Fu, they were a little frightened. He said, Master Fu has already taken a nap now. If you go to disturb him, he will curse you. If you want to beat someone, call me and tell him that I am Lao Xie. Don't worry, he won't dare to scold you, Lao Xie said. The person in the reception room was suspicious, so he walked to the door of Fatty Fu's room and knocked on the door. Fatty Fu rolled out of the door and roared, which one? I am, Master Fu. The person in the communication room swallowed his saliva and kept talking, there is an old Xie who asked you to answer the phone. I told him that you were already taking a nap and asked him to call back later. He just refused, Master Fu, and asked me to tell you. The door suddenly opened, and Fatty Fu appeared at the door wearing a sweat vest and big pants. He glared at him and walked towards the reception room. Fatty Fu picked up the phone and said hello when Lao Xie scolded him so hard that Fatty Fu immediately lost his temper. It's true that one thing brings down another. This Fatty Fu's bad temper just didn't work out when he met Lao Ziwi, who told them that they were brothers in need for more than 40 years. Fatty Fu had no money when he got married. That set of furniture, it was Lao Xie who gave it to him. After Lao Xie finished scolding, Fatty Fu defended himself, saying, Lao Xie, you haven't seen that my Tuo, he doesn't understand anything, and he told me that he only learned from his father. Do you know what his father does? I don't care who she is or what her father does. If Mr. Zhang asks you to teach, you teach. When people come to your office, you don't ask anything and just drive them back. The person Mr. Zhang sent is it so easy to catch up? Are you so arrogant? Let me ask you, even if she doesn't understand anything, what if she is a relative of Mr. Zhang and comes to learn the craft from you, will you, Fatty Fu, teach her? Fatty Fu faltered and couldn't say anything. Lao Xie continued to ask, do you want me to come from Haikan now? I will lead her to your office. Please, Fatty Fu, accept her. Lao Xie, don't poke me, Fatty Fu said. At around 4 o'clock, the phone on Cao Minfang's desk rang, and she answered it. On the phone, Fatty Fu told her, who are you asking to come over? Putting down the phone, Cao Minfang looked at Hui Huan and said, Fatty Fu has turned around. Come on, I will take you there again. More than 2 hours later, Hui Huan had calmed down. She had also been thinking for more than 2 hours. After hearing what Cao Minfang said, Hui Huan stood up, walked over, pressed Cao Minfang down, and said to her, Sister Cao, I can go there alone. He is just a fat man and not a tiger. He can't eat me. Cao Minfang nodded, knowing that Hui Huan didn't want Fatty Fu to see her and look so embarrassed. Cao Minfang sighed inwardly. She thought, she is such a reasonable girl, no wonder Mr. Zhang chose her. Hui Huan walked to the door of Fatty Fu's office and saw Fatty Fu sitting inside. Hui Huan knocked twice on the open door. Fatty Fu raised his head and looked at her. Hui Huan walked in and bowed to Fatty Fu. He bowed and said to him, Hello, Master Fu. Hui Huan was smiling, as if nothing unpleasant had ever happened between the two of them. This made Fatty Fu feel less embarrassed, and his expression softened a little. Fatty Fu tapped his chin towards the opposite side, motioning Hui Huan to sit down, and Hui Huan sat down. Fatty Fu said, Tell me why Mr. Zhang sent you here. Hui Huan cursed in her heart, Damn fat man, you just thought of asking now. Hui Huan then told Fatty Fu about the hotel they were building, and specifically explained that Zhang Chen wanted her to be the general manager of the hotel. Master Fu, I really don't understand anything, but don't worry, I will definitely learn it hard. Mr. Zhang also told me. He said that Master Fu is a very famous chef. The dishes you cook will make you tremble after eating them. Thumbs up, I want to eat more after eating it. He also said that Master Fu used to be an executive chef in the most luxurious hotel in Changsha. If I could learn a little bit from Master Fu and go back to manage our hotel, there would definitely be no problem. Hui Huan put on several tall hats in succession, and Fatty Fu couldn't get off. He laughed, stood up and said, Come on, my Tuo, I'll take you to the kitchen first. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1248. Hui Huan followed Fatty Fu and walked into the kitchen. She was stunned. She had never thought that there would really be such a big kitchen in this world. She had only seen it in movies and TV before. She knew that movies and TV are fake and cannot be taken as real, but I didn't expect that in reality, there really is such a big kitchen. This kitchen is almost 1,560 square meters. The floor is made of rust red anti-slip floor tiles. In the middle of the floor tiles, there are 3 or 4 drainage ditches with iron grates. If there is a slight stain on the floor, the handyman will use water to wash it away. The entire ground in the gutters was so clean that you could lie down on it and use it as a bed to sleep. On the edge of the 2 passages, there are 2 long stainless steel work benches that are more than 10 meters long and are spliced together. In the passage on the left, there is a long row of stainless steel freezers on the left, and a row of stainless steel freezers on the right. Stainless steel table with shelves. Beyond the freezer are neatly arranged ovens, microwaves, and steamers. At this end of the long stainless steel work table, there are several pastry chefs making various snacks. When they are ready, they put them into the steamer and oven. At the other end of the long stainless steel table, there are 7 piers made of tree stumps. The chefs responsible for cutting vegetables stood in a row, cutting various ingredients. There is a scale in front of everyone. Fatty Fu told Huihuan that we have measurement standards for all the main ingredients. This can ensure the consistency of the quantity of dishes. Remember, this is very important. Customers are all in this way. If he comes 10 times and once he feels that you are outnumbered, he will feel that you are killing regular customers and will never come again. Huihuan nodded. She held a small book in her hand. She quickly wrote down what Fatty Fu said. She saw that the masters who cut vegetables were indeed like this. They threw the cut ingredients into a small stainless steel bowl and put the bowl and the bowl on the scale. After confirming that the weight was correct, they put the bowl aside. If there was any shortage, they immediately made up for it. Superior. There was also a piece of paper stuck on the shelf above the human scale with something written on it. Fatty Fu told her that everyone remembers the standards of old dishes and doesn't need to read them. When you encounter new dishes, you have to post them here. From time to time, you can check. On this shelf, there are ordering menus stuck in front of everyone. The master cutting the vegetables is just looking at the ordering menus and garnishing the dishes. The other people were all standing, except for the person at the end who was sitting. Huihuan walked over and took a look. It turned out to be a carving master. Next to him was a plastic basket of radishes, carrots, and cucumbers. He was carving various flowers with a knife. After carving them, he put them in a basin of water to moisturize them. Behind the vegetable cutting masters is a main passage that is 1.5 meters wide. On the other side of the passage is another row of stainless steel work tables. There are no shelves on this row of tables. Standing in front of the table are the masters who cut vegetables. They and the cutters are standing there. The chef stood back to back, coming over from time to time and taking over the stainless steel bowls that the vegetable cutter had cut. They put the side dishes on a plate, and the meat was in the stainless steel bowl. It was marinated and starched. There were dozens of seasonings on the workbench in front of them. After everything was ready, they pushed the plates with side dishes and the stainless steel bowls of meat toward the opposite side of the stainless steel table. On the other side of the stainless steel table is a row of stoves. The stoves below are spitting out flames. Above is a long row of huge suction fans, whining and sucking all the fumes and heat straight in. Not a trace will leak out, so there is no smell of oil smoke at all in the huge kitchen. There were 7 or 8 cooking chefs standing in front of the row of stoves. The chef stretched out his horse spoon, turned around, hooked the prepared ingredients, and started frying. After frying, put it on the plate, and use a horse spoon to push the dish to the side where the lotus is. The person who made the lotus took a towel and wiped the edge of the plate clean. According to different dishes, put them on the edge of the plate. Different radish flowers and cucumber slices, the waiter immediately took away the dish and it was ready to be served. The one at the front of the row of stoves, with the fire out and the stove cold, is Fatty Fu's seat. When important guests come, Fatty Fu will stand here. He is the executive chef of the hotel. Also a head wok. In the kitchen, the status of the wok is supreme, a symbol of authority and status. Even if Fatty Fu is away on a business trip for a week, no chef would have the guts to stand in that position and light up the fire. Unless the owner of the hotel is a chef himself, and when he enters the back kitchen, the head wok will give up his seat to him, and the boss will do his part and stand here. This action of the head wok is telling everyone that, from this moment on, everyone listens to the boss. In this kitchen, there will never be such a time. Next to the cooking stove is a stainless steel bucket for cooking soup. Next, there are 3 steamers and an electric steamer. Above the steamer are drawers of stainless steel steamers, which are used to steam fish, and the electric steamer. It is used to steam various stews, including shark's fin, bird's nest, and cordyceps. Past the kitchen is a baking room. There are 2 stoves in the baking room. One is roasting suckling pig, and the other is roasting camphor tea duck. Chinese food is different from Western food. Chinese food does not use ovens. It's a charcoal stove. Open the stove door. There is a charcoal fire in the middle of the stove. There are suckling pigs and ducks hanging on top. They can be forked in and out with a long fork. Drops of oil fell from the top onto the red charcoal fire below, making a sizzling sound that was fleeting and did not even have a chance to turn into black smoke. After roasting for a while, the master would take it out and use a brush to brush the sauce and fork in the honey and continue roasting. The suckling pig and duck gradually turned golden. When Huihuan watched, she suddenly felt that it solved the doubts she had when she was a child watching the cartoon Havoc in Heaven. At that time, she had always been curious about what Sun Wukong would be like in Tai's Hanglejun's alchemy furnace. Now she knows, this is probably how she got hung up in it. Beyond the baking room is the water table in the kitchen, a large row of tiled pools. Fish, chickens, ducks, and even snakes and various wild animals are killed here. Vegetables are also washed here. You can kill them and wash them. All kinds of good ingredients are sent to the vegetable cutting master from here. What shocked Huihuan the most was that Fatty Fu took her into a room. The surrounding rows of shelves were densely packed with hundreds of kinds of condiments, all in bottles and jars. Fatty Fu told her that just here, it's enough for you to get familiar with it for a week. Huihuan saw that many of the condiments here had foreign characters that she couldn't understand at all. She pointed at one of them and asked Fatty Fu, "Master Fu, what is this?" Fatty Fu shook his head and said, "I don't know what these are, but I know how to use them. When I have nothing to do, I will come here and open them to taste them. In this way, you need to use them, especially for innovative dishes when the time comes, I know it in my heart." Huihuan asked, "Master Fu, do you use all the seasonings here? How is that possible? This place is mostly used by pastry chefs. Our Chinese food is not that complicated. If you can make good use of the 5 or 6 kinds on your stove, it will be fine," Fatty Fu said. Huihuan nodded and thought, "I can only use these 5 or 6 kinds." The two of them walked outside. Fatty Fu and Huihuan said, "Follow me." Huihuan said oh and followed Fatty Fu, not knowing what she was going to do. Fatty Fu took her to the place where he was chopping vegetables. Fatty Fu took a plate from the shelf, a piece of meat, a piece of celery, and 2 potatoes, and put them on the plate. Fatty Fu handed the plate to Huihuan, pointed to the stove in the corner of the steamer and said to Huihuan, "You are going to make a dish." Huihuan was shocked. She took the plate with one hand and stuffed the small book into her trouser pocket with the other hand. Fatty Fu patted a vegetable cutter next to him and said to him, "Borrow me a knife." The man took a kitchen knife from the shelf and handed it to Fatty Fu. Fatty Fu turned around and handed it to Huihuan, who was still there, and said to her, "Let's go and cook." Huihuan looked at the plate in her hand, complaining endlessly, thinking, what kind of dishes can be made with these few things? She didn't know that Fatty Fu was testing her, asking you to do several seemingly unrelated things, just to see your imagination. Being a chef also requires a rich imagination. Just like a painter, you know what effect a stroke of paint will have on the paper. The chef must also be able to imagine the different ingredients, how to match them, and the taste. It will be more wonderful. You have to be able to imagine how the diners will react when you put them in front of them. For an excellent chef, even if there is only one green vegetable in front of you, you must be able to stir-fry it with a taste that is different from others. The trick and secret are all in the 4 or 5 spices beside the stove. Foreigners are stupid. They cook by doing chemical experiments, so they use more and more seasonings, and they get finer and finer. They don't know that it is just a simple oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, and sugar, but there are endless mysteries in it. Chinese chefs understand the ever-changing changes and can make a table of delicious dishes with almost no need for other seasonings. Huihuan took the plate and knife and walked to the corner. At this time, she felt like Cinderella, working and dazing in the corner, surrounded by the noisy world. In this whole busy kitchen, there was no anyone would help her. Except for her beauty, which aroused the initial curiosity, she was ignored by all the busy people and only qualified to stay in this corner. Fatty Fu looked at her from a distance. After the initial panic passed, Hui Huan stared at the plate in front of her and thought for a moment. She immediately had an idea. She bent down and found a casserole and a pressure cooker from under the stainless steel table. This was what she discovered as soon as she entered. On the rungs under the two stainless steel tables, there are various tools and cooking utensils, almost everything. She lit the fire, put the potatoes into the pressure cooker, sat down on the stove to cook, turned around, and quickly cut the celery and meat into cubes. Fatty Fu saw that this Maituo could tell at a glance that she had not received any formal training and even the way to hold a knife was wrong. However, her hands and feet were very nimble. Thank you for reading the book every day, and for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you to the Humor Tribe and Baikan Scholars for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1249. Hui Huan looked at the time and felt that the potatoes were almost cooked. She took off the pressure cooker, put it under the faucet, and quickly cooled it down with water. When the temperature dropped, she took off the cap on the pressure cooker and breathed her last breath. Hui Huan opened the lid of the pressure cooker, took out the potatoes from inside, peeled off the potatoes while they were hot, found a stainless steel bowl, and mashed the potatoes into puree. Put the wok on the stove, light the fire and bring the water to a boil. Add a little oil to the pot. Put the diced celery in a colander and quickly blanch the water to remove the odor. After adding oil to the pot, the blanched celery will still be green. Put it in set aside. Then blanch the diced pork and take it out with a slotted spoon. This diced pork does not need to be marinated with cornstarch. Instead, heat the oil pan, put the diced meat in the pan when the oil temperature is the highest, fry the diced meat until it is a little burnt, add sugar, and fry the diced meat into a shiny sauce. Pour it into a plate and set aside. Add water and stock to the casserole, bring it to a boil on the stove over high heat, and add pepper and salt. Taste the saltiness and it feels almost ready. Turn the high heat to low, add the diced meat and simmer for 5 minutes. Here, add cornstarch and water to mix with the mashed potatoes. After stirring evenly, open the lid of the casserole, pour it in, turn to medium heat and simmer. Thick, add diced celery and it's ready. Hui Huan stood there and looked around. She saw Fatty Fu standing not far away and looking at him. Hui Huan shouted, "Master Fu, it's okay." Fatty Fu came over and took a look first. The soup was thick and the celery was diced green, which was eye-catching. He took a spoon, scooped a little, tasted it, and put the spoon down. Hui Huan looked at him, her heart pounding. Seeing Fatty Fu put down the spoon, Hui Huan asked quickly, "Master Fu, how are you?" Fatty Fu didn't say a word, but shouted towards the other end of the kitchen. The master who was standing in front of the stove cooking and chopping vegetables turned his head and looked this way. Fatty Fu waved to them. There were 2 cutters. The waiter put down the knife in his hand and came over, and the 2 cooks also came over after putting the vegetables in the pot on the plate, turning off the fire. These few people are the inner circle of this kitchen. After they came over, like Fatty Fu, they took a look first, then picked up the spoon and tasted it. After putting down the spoon, they smiled at Hui Huan and walked back. Hui Huan got a little anxious and shouted, "Masters, how does it taste, like?" "Oops, they're all gone anyway, please give me some advice. With Fatty Fu here, how could it be their turn to comment, but everyone knew in their hearts that this little girl had passed the exam. They turned around, smiled at Hui Huan again, and then pointed at Fatty Fu. Every time someone comes to their hotel to apply for a job as a chef, Fatty Fu always gives him these 3 things and asks him to cook them. Most of the people don't know what to do and they make a mess, and some people do it reluctantly. I fried it in a plate and the color looked okay, but the taste was just average. They have never seen anyone who can do something as beautiful and delicious as this little girl. These 3 things seem simple, but in fact they are quite complicated. Celery can be fried directly with shredded pork. Anyone can fry it. The problem is, then potatoes are useless. If potatoes are added to stir fry, when the potatoes are cooked, the celery will also be stir fried. Already old and yellow. If you beat the potatoes in the pressure cooker before frying them, the potatoes will fall apart as soon as they enter the frying pan, and the whole dish will be mushy. The key to making this dish is that you have to find a way to bring out the characteristics of these 3 ingredients and make use of their strengths and avoid their weaknesses, so that you can succeed. Fortunately, Hui Huan's casserole is made of mashed potatoes and cornstarch, and the soup is rich, thick, and delicious. The diced celery is crisp and delicious, and it also plays a decorative role. The fried diced meat, although after stewing, it is a bit rotten but still a bit crispy, and it has a sauce aroma, which makes it taste very special. Hui Huan looked at Fatty Fu. Fatty Fu didn't say yes or no, but asked her, among the dishes you cook, which one is ordered the most by customers? Hui Huan said, tofu pot. Fatty Fu said, then can you make it for me to try? Hui Huan said, I want to see the tofu first. Fatty Fu said, oh. This answer was beyond his expectation. He became interested and asked, is tofu important when making tofu pot? Hui Huan said, it's important to make it with salt marinated tofu to make it delicious. Gypsum tofu is not delicious. Fatty Fu laughed, then there must be gypsum tofu here, not salt marinated tofu. If I can find brine, I can make tofu myself, Hui Huan said. I used to make tofu a lot. Is there any tofu here? Yes. Fatty Fu took Hui Huan to the water platform. Hui Huan saw tofu soaked in water in a basin. Hui Huan reached out and picked up a piece of tofu, put it in front of her nose and smelled it, frowned, shook her head, walked to the faucet again, turned on the water, took it with her hand, tasted it, and said to Fatty Fu, Master Fu, we can't even make tofu here. Why? Fatty Fu asked. The water is not good, Hui Huan said. The tofu made with this water will not taste good no matter what you do, even homemade tofu and mapo tofu will not taste good. Yes, you are right. Fatty Fu nodded and said, the water in Hainan is not good, and the tofu in Hainan is not delicious. Not only Sanya, but also Haikan is not delicious. The tofu here is made into stinky tofu. None of them taste good. The stinky tofu in our store is all flown in from Changsha. Hui Huan said yes, tofu looks ordinary, but in fact it is the most delicate and requires very high water. Even in our county, the tofu made in this village and that village is different. We used to have during banquets, my father always made tofu at home and brought it over, so I have been making tofu since I was a child. Hui Huan said this, and Fatty Fu felt a little respect for the country chef whom he had despised. He knew that he was also a fastidious person, and the dishes made by such a person should also be fastidious. Master Fu, is there a large intestine here? Hui Huan asked. Fatty Fu nodded and said, yes. Then let me make a large intestine stew, Hui Huan said. Okay. Fatty Fu looked at his watch and said to Hui Huan, it's done at 8 o'clock. We'll finish work at almost 8:30 and have dinner. I'll eat your large intestine pot in the evening. Now, you can just wander around in the kitchen, right, now, if you have time, go to the restaurant in front. As the general manager, you have to take care of more than just the kitchen. Hui Huan quickly said, "Thank you, Master Fu." Fatty Fu smiled and then said to her, "The dish in front is pretty good." After Fatty Fu finished speaking, he turned around and left. Hui Huan let out a long breath. Hui Huan looked around in the kitchen alone, curious about everything she saw, and her mind was spinning rapidly, wishing she could imprint everything in the kitchen in her mind. After finishing the kitchen tour, she walked to the front restaurant and saw the restaurant manager standing in front of the cashier. She walked over to chat with her and took out a small book from her pocket. She needed to know the staffing structure of the entire restaurant. They were all young people, so we had no grudges when chatting with her. The manager answered almost every question she had, and told her how to differentiate between different positions in terms of clothing. Hui Huan knew that the person in the suit was the supervisor, and that the person wearing the same clothes as the waiters, but with different colors, was the foreman, who was also a waiter, and was divided into waiters on duty, order takers, and food passers. Each waiter on duty serves 6 tables. If it is a private room, one person serves 1 box. The waiter on duty patrols back and forth in his service area to see which table needs to be poured wine or replaced with bone plates. The waiter immediately came forward to serve. In the restaurant, the people walking around holding trays are food passers. They are responsible for delivering the dishes from the food delivery station at the door of the kitchen to the corresponding table in the hall. The waiters on duty will help serve the dishes. If a customer needs to order or add food, the waiter on duty will call the order taker. The order taker will come over with the menu, drink list, and order menu. Those who lead the guests to the seafood pool and game restaurant are also the order takers. The manager and Hui Huan said that in the restaurant, the order clerk is very important and cannot be done by stupid people. She is not only responsible for ordering dishes according to the needs of the guests, but also being able to sell the dishes. Seeing that Hui Huan didn't understand very well, she told her that every time the order clerk went to work, she had to go to the seafood pool and game hall to have a look. There are a lot of them, so she has to try her best to sell safflower crabs to her customers. For another example, you also know that whether it is seafood or game, it cannot be raised for a long time. When there are a lot of species in stock or have been raised for several days, the ordering staff must find a way to keep them. Market them as quickly as possible before they die and cause losses. Also, when the kitchen introduces new dishes, the ordering staff must also be very familiar with these new dishes. You can't have customers ask you, "If you don't know anything about this dish, then what are you selling?" Hui Huan wrote them down one by one in her notebook and felt that this was indeed important. Hui Huan looked at the time. At 7:40, she went back to the kitchen and started preparing ingredients. She was going to make not only a large intestine pot, but also a radish and beef brisket pot, and stir-fry 2 more vegetables. At 8:30, most of the guests in the front restaurant have left. In the back kitchen, everyone has also started to clean up. In addition to leaving a peer and a wok on duty, in case there are still guests, especially the guests in the private rooms. We need to add more food, and everyone else is getting ready to eat and get off work. Hui Huan brought the prepared dishes to Fatty Fu's office and ran to the restaurant in front to buy a bottle of deer turtle wine. Hui Huan found that many of the guests here liked to drink deer turtle wine and aphrodisiac wine. Wan was embarrassed to buy the latter one, so she decided to buy the former one. The restaurant manager saw Hui Huan holding a bottle of wine in her hand and came over to ask if she was honoring Fatty Fu. Hui Huan nodded. Change, Fatty Fu wants to drink Xiangquan wine, the manager told her. Hui Huan walked back to the cashier and exchanged a bottle of Xiangquan wine. Hui Huan put the wine on the table, and Fatty Fu walked back to the office, looked at it, and shouted, "The food is good." Hui Huan poured the wine and said to Fatty Fu, "Master Fu, it's time to eat." Fatty Fu pushed the wine glass aside and told her, "Wait a minute. He took out the purchase list from the drawer and told Hui Huan while writing it, "This is something you will have to do every day in the future. When you are about to get off work, you should go to every place in the kitchen to check what needs to be purchased tomorrow. Don't expect them to come and tell you on their own. These people become confused when they get off work and can't remember anything. You have to see it yourself." Hui Huan said yes. Hui Huan watched from the side and was secretly surprised. She saw that Fatty Fu didn't bring a notebook or anything. He wrote without thinking. He first wrote a 3-page purchase order for ingredients. He even wrote clearly the quantity that needed to be purchased. Clearly. Then came the spices, dry goods, and frozen goods, which also took 2 pages. As soon as he finished writing here, the purchaser came in. As if he had finished the calculation, he took the purchase order and went out. "Okay, now we can start dinner." Fatty Fu rubbed his hands and said. Hui Huan quickly moved the cup in front of him. Fatty Fu asked, "Where's yours?" Hui Huan said, "I don't know how to drink. After get off work, let's have a drink with master." Fatty Fu said that when Hui Huan heard this, she felt ecstatic in her heart. She heard the word master from Fatty Fu's mouth. It seemed that he accepted her. Hui Huan quickly said, "Okay, master. Thank you May and Albert King for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1250. Hui Huan picked up the cup and wanted to toast Fatty Fu. Fatty Fu said, "Wait, let me taste the food first." He picked up the purple clay pot, took a sip, picked up the chopsticks, ate the large intestine pot first, smacked his lips, and after his mouth calmed down, picked up the purple clay pot, took a sip, then picked up a piece of beef brisket and chewed it. After eating, he picked up the purple clay pot, took a sip of tea, and then ate another dish. Hui Huan understood that he was cleaning his mouth and taste buds to make his taste buds more sensitive to new dishes. Hui Huan looked at it and couldn't help laughing. "Why are you laughing?" Fatty Fu asked. "Master, if you try all the dishes on the table, your stomach won't be bloated to death," Hui Huan said, and Fatty Fu also laughed, and then took a sip of wine. "Your food tastes good," Fatty Fu said. "Taste is the soul of the food. Once you have the soul, my tuo, the rest will be easy." "Thank you, master." Hui Huan picked up the wine glass. "I would like to propose a toast to master." "One bite, okay," Fatty Fu said. Hui Huan said yes, "Then I will pay respect to master." The two of them picked up the glasses, clinked them, and took a sip. Hui Huan said, "Master, you don't look like a person who has no tolerance for alcohol." "I have a drinking capacity," Fatty Fu said. "When I was young, I could drink 2 bottles of this kind of wine, but later I didn't dare to drink it anymore." "Why?" "After learning the craft, I became timid. Wine is what burns my taste buds the most. What's the point of us being chefs if we can't taste good or bad with our mouths? Singers know how to protect their voices. Actors, we know how to take care of our faces, and we chefs must also learn to protect our taste buds." Hui Huan nodded, feeling that what Fatty Fu said made sense. "People say that I, Fatty Fu, have a bad temper. I just have a bad temper. If I have a bad breath, I will get rid of it immediately," Fatty Fu said. "If the bad breath doesn't come out, it will hurt my taste buds." Hui Huan wanted to say, "Master, then you blame me?" "I thought about it but didn't say anything." "By the way, my tuo, didn't Zhang decide to open that big hotel after eating your food?" Fatty Fu asked. Hui Huan thought for a moment and said, "I really don't know about this, but Mr. Zhang helped open my small restaurant. I originally hired people to cook, but later Mr. Zhang encouraged me to open my own restaurant. Moreover, I must cook the food myself. Mr. Zhang is right." With your skills, if you still ask someone to cook, you are asking a ghost to see a doctor. But I don't know anything about such a big hotel. I'm afraid I can't manage it well, Huihuan said. Don't worry, if you can be a good chef, you can manage the kitchen. If you can manage the kitchen, you can manage a hotel. The most difficult thing to manage in a hotel is the kitchen. Not to mention the hotel, it is just a family. Where do you have the most things to do? Not yet. There are most things going on in the kitchen, Fatty Fu said. My Tuo, you just need to be attentive. Huihuan smiled and said, that Mr. Zhang told me the same thing. Fatty Fu glanced at Huihuan and smiled. Huihuan asked, Master, why are you laughing? Did I say something wrong? You're right, does Mr. Zhang like you? No, no, Huihuan said quickly, I can guarantee that Mr. Zhang didn't mean that. When Huihuan said that, she sighed in her heart, if Brother Zhang had that intention, we would have something wrong a long time ago. So you like Mr. Zhang? Fatty Fu asked. Huihuan's face turned red, and she said, Mr. Zhang and I, how can we be worthy of each other? His wife is so beautiful and kind. Fatty Fu waved his hand, if you like someone, there is nothing wrong. Liking is a matter of your own heart. It has nothing to do with whether he has a wife or whether his wife is beautiful or not. There is nothing you can do about liking someone. Huihuan lowered her head and fell silent, thinking, yes, liking someone is indeed a matter of the heart, but if they don't like you, what's the use? Your matter is not over yet. Fatty Fu said, Master can see that. Huihuan was startled and wanted to ask, what did you see, but Fatty Fu had already changed the topic. Fatty Fu said, but what Mr. Zhang said is not unreasonable. Look at the world champion. Don't think that if he wants to do other things, he won't be famous. He will still be better than ordinary people, but he doesn't spend so much time and effort. When it comes to energy and other things, where is the brain? Without brains, can he be a world champion? Which champion didn't climb out of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people? I'm not bragging. If I, Fatty Fu, didn't work as a chef and became a train driver, I would definitely be a very good train driver. Don't be afraid. If you spend your time and energy, you will definitely be able to manage it well. Huihuan said, yes, Master, I will definitely work hard. As the two of them ate and drank, they talked a lot. Fatty Fu ate the food in large gulps and sipped the wine in small sips. When the wine was not enough, he talked a lot. It was normal, and he probably rarely talked so much with others. This Maituo also has an appetite for him, and there is no end to it when he talks about it. These words are like the bad energy, he said, which always needs to be released and cannot stay in the body forever. It just depends on which one you say. Fatty Fu asked, Maituo, you know, what is the biggest difference between big hotels and small restaurants? Huihuan thought for a moment and said, how does the food taste? Fatty Fu shook his head and said, when I'm in Changsha, my favorite places to eat are the fly restaurants. I don't like going to big hotels. The chefs in those big hotels are from the same background as me. They can't taste anything fresh. There are always surprises in the fly restaurants. When it comes to the taste of the dishes, the taste of the big hotel is really not much different from that of the fly restaurant. Just like you run a small restaurant. Believe it or not, if I serve the food you cooked on the table tomorrow, the guests here will also say it is delicious. You can say that about yourself. When you get here, then the craftsmanship and taste of the dishes immediately improved a lot. Don't underestimate those fly restaurants that do good business. They are the toughest ones. They don't rely on fame, they just have fame. That's what they eat through the mouths of thousands of people. Our shop is on the same street. Why is there anyone doing business? Okay, if someone's business is bad, the person who eats it will judge it with his feet, mouth, and the money in his pocket, and there can be no adulteration at all. Hui Huan thought about her store, and really, she opened it with so much anxiety. There were so many stores in that row of streets. It was probably the first time for those who came to her store. Because I saw that this was a new store, I wanted to give it a try, or maybe it was another store with no seats. She didn't recognize the people who came in, but as they ate, they became regular customers one by one. If her food didn't taste good, these people would not come again after eating it once, let alone she will become a regular customer and bring more people. This is their recognition of her and gives her a sense of accomplishment. Hui Huan felt that the reason that supported her and allowed her to get out of bed even on snowy days was not entirely because of making money, but partly because of these old customers who were pushing her behind. Don't be lazy at all. So, it's a service? Hui Huan asked. Stay close to the edge, Fatty Fu said. I know, it's the environment, the dining environment. It's also a little bit closer. Is that the chef's reputation? Hui Huan said, just like here, master is here and you are here. This one, dotted, Fatty Fu said. Hui Huan got discouraged and asked, it's all just a little bit, master, so what's the difference? Fatty Fu stretched out 2 fingers and gestured, and said, 2 words, good looks. Presentation. Yes, the difference is the presentation, Fatty Fu said. The dishes in the big hotel can be decorated with flowers on the side of the plate, but the flowers cannot be stir-fried. In terms of taste, there is not much difference from the food in a good fly restaurant. Even if a top-level chef is given a green vegetable, he won't be able to stir-fry the flavor of abalone unless he adds abalone juice. Hui Huan burst out laughing, and Fatty Fu also laughed. He said, it's a selling point. This selling point is a big selling point. It's not as small as a plate of food. It's a big selling point. There are small ones that look good, I'll talk about the big ones first. Look at that big hotel. Why do you have to spend so much money on renovations, hire the best chefs, and hire many more waiters than in a small restaurant, even younger ones, older ones, and less good-looking ones? I don't want the good-looking ones, it's all about appearance. Only when the appearance is good will people be willing to pay money. So, when you are the general manager, you have to focus on your appearance. Remember, when people come to your hotel, you must show them your best appearance, just like a little girl. If a person is very good looking, but she always picks her nose in front of you, and no one says she is good looking, she just feels disgusted. If you want this hotel to sell well, you need everything to be glamorous. Your dishes need to be good and taste good. This is not enough. You also need a good environment and good service. That's not enough. You need everyone in the hotel to be good. That's it, your entire hotel will look good, otherwise, you will die without knowing how. Let me give you the simplest example. For example, if you think the chef is very important and the waiter is very important, then the security guard is very important. The security guard in your parking lot will look like someone who robbed his wife. He looked like he was going to kill someone and beat him up. Will he dare to come next time? When people heard the name of your hotel, they felt as if they had seen a ghost. They thought of that fierce security guard like do or done. They immediately said, I won't go, I won't go. Tell me, he's not a chef or a waiter. Can a security guard kill a store? For another example, is the sanitation guy the most inconspicuous person in the hotel? But if he is, as soon as someone enters the bathroom, he will curse and make people inconvenient. Do you think he will dare to do it next time? Come. These are the people who pick noses on pretty faces. There are so many people picking their noses. Can you improve your appearance? This is called bad appearance. It will kill a store. So as the general manager, you have to take care of these little things. You have to take care of it. If you don't take care of it, you will die without knowing it. You are so right, Master, your words are easy to understand. Hui Huan shouted. No, 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 Master, you must drink a glass of wine when you say this, I toast you. Fatty Fu chuckled, half a cup, just drink half a cup. I haven't finished talking about my appearance yet. I said the big one first, then the small one. After that, drink the remaining half cup. Thank you for reading the book every day, 2 fishes at one time and 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, Mou Ching Cheng for the reward. Thank you for exercising, Pondalong, Kong 668, Xiazifeng, Zuzunachue, Crystal 8, Bald 111, Oh, Mei Zongmei, Wolf Dandan, Huier 900, Ethylene 90, Piaoxiuowing, Shu the monthly ticket of friend 201901042017583118. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health.